Hey everybody, this is Jared.
And Jack?
Hey, we're here to tell you what we did today. We had about 2 hours to get this done. Um, we're putting siding on the rest of the side of the house. So how can I really explain this, Jack? I always say, hey man, if we had to put a little bit of siding on, you always say,
Well, Jared, there's a lot more to hanging siding than just hanging siding. There's prep work. So you called me up on this bright sunny day and said, "Hey, you think we can get the other two sides up and sided?" I'm like, Jared, you forgot about the prep work again. So here we go.
with the prep work, with everything else. So this is where we started up, and we were just getting the tie back kind of stapled up, and then we had to do the inserts on the bottom to.
There were some gaps that we had to fill in with OSB around the bottom, so we had a flush surface, and we had to cut off some tie back to get out of the way of the starter strip for the siding.
So I'm just helping Jack. He's cutting the pieces in the background. I'm putting them up. Finally get them all up, and here comes Jack, ready to at the bird mouth, right?
This is the birdhouse. You got to have a
Birdhouse.
corner, and in order to have a corner, you got to have your birdhouse up. So we start measuring that out and putting that up, and then we started putting in our F channel for our soffit.
And that's
Right there we go. There's your bird mouth board. Look at that little angle piece that goes and connects to that. Make that nice and square.
so we were cutting inside because it was a little bit more muddier outside. So that's why you keep seeing us disappearing into the garage.
And there's drawing the angle on a block of wood so we can get that cut. And move the ladder, and boom, there goes the angle to square up that soffit end with the birdhouse. Now we get the F channel out and we start putting our F channel in the appropriate place.
And the F channel goes on top where the soffit connects to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he's measuring. He got everything level. He's like, I leveled it this time, Jared. I can cut that off. Okay. So he's pretty much getting the F channel in right here for the front of the.
So we're finishing on the gable end.
Okay.
And the reason we're doing this is because the corner, which is the next thing to go on after we get the rest of the tie back,
And there it
needs
goes.
to be really tight against the top of that building. So we won't have insects, or in this area, bees or wasps that want to curl up under there and sneak attacking in the summertime.
And I think that was our biggest concern too. To the point of the other corner was it just had the gap. We had to make sure we got that fixed up too. So this is where he starts to cut the corner piece, and then we realize that yeah, we need to put tie back
So
up.
let's get the tie back out and wrap the rest of this. And this was hard because this is the short side of the building. So we're fighting with the length of the roll the entire time. But we worked it out, shoved it up top, and got her stapled down. And then, of course, it doesn't get windy until you get your tie back out. And then it's like having a parachute drag behind your building.
Well, that's the other problem we've been having where it comes to how the building's just located. There's just a lot of wind at all times.
Mhm.
So you have to watch out how we're attaching the tie back right there right now. He's like, okay, we need to get this set up where we'll get wind underneath it for it to start ripping out.
And we wrapped that tie back around so it met up and overlapped with the tie back we did on the gable end and sealed it up nice and tight.
So yeah, so now we're going through. You'll see this part going with Jack, and then we're gonna start working on that corner again. That corner turned out really nice.
And the tie back on a structure like this is really just that extra layer of protection. We get a lot of wind, and that tie back will reduce that wind and its penetration into the building.
And even with that tie back up, I've actually like let's say it's 30 degrees outside. It's about 40 degrees inside the building. So that was kind of impressive just with the tie back being on it.
I mean, it has no R value, but it's definitely a good wind block.
So we got this part all finishing up right here, and then we're gonna start working on the front part of the siding, which was supposed to be so easy.
Mm-hmm. So we got all that prep work in place, and it's like, oh yeah, we still got to put the J channel around the double doors, and here that goes.
So this is where comes the prep work. Don't even think about how long it takes. And Jack's doing most of this prep work by himself because there's just nothing I can really help you with right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you see me standing around handing nails and things like that. I'm really his personal assistant right here.
So this door had brick mold, but in order for it to accept the vinyl siding, we still needed to add a J channel.
And this is where you put your starter strip down there, and oh, there goes the famous tape.
And again, the tape is just for an added layer of protection in case there's water or anything that wants to try to get in through the window. Also keeps the bugs, mites, whatever out.
Okay, so where it comes to this particular angle, I did this because he was doing a lot of cutting, going back and forth. We are doing a lot of this by hand. It was too cold to use anything else, so it was tedious work.
And a lot of these pieces we had to put inside the building, and we heat them up a little bit before we could even cut them with shears. Vinyl has a freeze temp, and we were working right at that temperature.
Yeah, it was just like whenever I tried to do it myself, because I'm not a professional, but it was like I was cracking it sometimes. You're like, hey man, let's just get it back in the garage and let it heat up for a little bit.
As a kid, we'd used to wait until wintertime when the neighbor's garage, we never liked our neighbor going up. So we'd wait until it got really, really cold, and then we'd throw rocks at his vinyl siding on his garage. It'd puck holes right through that like a lawnmower. The next spring, he'd say, "What happened?" I was like, "Oh, walnuts, walnut tree. Must have been discharged from the lawnmower."
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad he's dead now.
So where it comes to this part, this is where he starts to work around the window. So with working around the window, he had to go back and forth and do the measuring, the cutting. This turned out really nice also. And that's where we had to that's where we had to measure on each side, just like we did the door to actually match up to the point where we get it on top of
Yeah,
the window.
on those little pieces of vinyl, a piece of vinyl can stretch quite a bit, and you don't want to get to the top of the window and not have your vinyl line up across both windows and the door in this case. So we just measure back and forth to make sure that the seams keep hitting on both sides of the window and that everything's level across. But
Okay.
you can lose a lot of distance in the course of a couple feet on little pieces.
And that's where it came to this last video that we did where you could actually physically see how
Mhm.
I did it wrong. So now it's just getting a little bit later in the day. We're starting to lose a little bit of sunlight. And this is where we're working up. So we keep on working up to where the other side is.
And at some point here, we realized that you might want J block for future lighting. So I think we got to a point here real soon where we stop and say, "Hey, let's figure out where you guys want these J blocks for your lights." And that's kind of driven by the style of lights you choose too.
Yeah, and we kind of pointed out this is where I think we stopped, right around here because I wanted my light right where that last piece of siding went. He's like, okay, hey, it's getting dark out. Um, it's going to take a minute to cut the J blocks because we had two of them to do on each side. So we just started wrapping up, getting everything cleaned up, ready to go, and a few little touch ups and going through. And I mean, pretty happy what we got done. It was about only about 2 hours for us
Hmm.
doing this. So yeah, we got it all done. We're starting to clean up, talking about our game plan for the next day.
And the temperatures are just dropping as we're finishing these touches up. Indiana winter is a lot like Hoth on Empire Strikes Back. Once that sun goes down, if you're not inside the steel doors and inside your home, you'll freeze to death and die.
Oh,
Remember that guy we found
I didn't find him.
2 or 3 years ago? The guy froze to death in the backyard.
I didn't find him, but someone else did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lived in my neighborhood, but that's for another day, another story.
Hmm.
So this is pretty much how the house wrapped up. How we got what we got done. We are still missing the tie back on the top of the building, but you'll see that in the next video. But I guess with looking the structure right now, eventually we're gonna put a board on the bottom.
Yep. And we do that because if you put vinyl across the bottom of the door, within a year, somebody's going to kick it with their foot and break the siding. So I found over the years it's better to just put like a 2x10 or 2x12 there and just make it something solid so you don't bump it and break it.
Well, but that's pretty much all the video, you guys. Thanks for watching. This is Jared
Jack.
and Jack, and we'll see you on the next video. Like and subscribe. Peace out.